Well, hi there, guys. It's Tony here from Caveman Props. I'm back again today with another one of my Prop Talks videos. My guest today is an actor. They have appeared in a few of the Star Wars sequels, several BBC and Sky dramas, and have been in many episodes of Doctor Who. And if you're wondering why you don't really recognise them, that could be because they have quite a good career in playing kind of monster characters, and so you wouldn't always recognise them. Today, ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Mickey Lewis.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
I just want to get quite into it. Basically, what I'm doing with these videos is just chatting to a few people, and I'm trying to take it back. So I want to know how you kind of got into acting and how you ended up playing some of the monsters on Doctor Who.
Right. Well, I started acting at school, and then did drama at uni, which, obviously involved a lot of acting. And then I did a couple of plays afterwards. But it wasn't until I joined an agency specifically for TV and film that it really took off. And I really realized this is what I wanted to do. And my very first job, I got a phone call from the agency saying, are you available for Doctor Who? And I said, hell yeah. I'd always loved Doctor Who, huge fan from a child onwards, really, with a few blips in between where I thought it was going a bit bad. But I loved it as from a child. I seized that with both hands. They didn't tell me what I was going to be. They just said a monster. So I thought, yeah, brilliant. Can't beat being a monster on Doctor Who. It's better than being one of the guest actors. So went along, and the third AD was waiting for me. She ushered me in. She said, you're going to be a Dalek, don't you? And I said, what? My first ever job, Dalek. So, yeah, that's how it started. Dalek school. That day, we had to try out different eras of Daleks, so all the different shapes and sizes and colours, to see which suited us personally the best. So I tried out the Paradigm Dalek, the big Dalek, 6 ones, which are small, and the bronze ones. I settled on the bronze because that's probably easiest to move around, although the Paradigm ones had better wheels, I think. Some of the bronze ones would just jerk to a stop sometimes with the wheels out of alignment. But yeah, so it started from there. And that was for Asylum of the Daleks in 2012 with Matt Smith.
Wow, that must have been brilliant for you, especially obviously being a fan of Doctor Who as well.
Yeah, I had to keep pinching myself. Really did. It was very surreal. And seeing all the different eras of Daleks all lined up in a room on their own in the semi-darkness. Because I was leaving the room where we all met. I was the first into the Dalek room, and they were all there lurking in the gloom, and I was the only one in the room at that time. So it's very eerie, very creepy. Yeah,
but
very
obviously
special.
Quite enjoyable as well.
Oh yeah, I loved it. And before, actually, I did the Dalek School was the first introduction to Doctor Who, but my very first filming was a couple of days later as one of the skeleton corpses, that the Dalek puppets on the crashed spaceship. I don't know if you remember in Asylum of the Daleks, one of the suited zombies who wake up and menace Matt Smith and Karen Gillan. So that was good. And Matt Smith was bashing me on the head several times to emphasize his point. This was obviously before we came alive. And I just remember sitting there thinking, I really wish he'd stop doing that. I'm getting a headache now. So, but yeah, it's great. And I ended up holding hands with Karen Gillan in between takes. So I'm not quite sure to this day why, but there we were, my first day on Doctor Who, holding hands with Karen Gillan. Couldn't beat that.
A bit of envy of quite a few fans out there, I imagine.
I imagine, yeah. Yeah, but remember, I was dressed up in a snowsuit with a zombie mask on and a Dalek light in the middle of my forehead. So, but she was so sweet. Yeah, because really I was trying to grab her arm to get the bracelet off her. And obviously, in between takes, somehow our hands ended up holding each other. I don't know why, but she was very gracious and didn't shake me off.
Wonderful. So obviously doing that, what's it like being in the costumes compared to not being in sort of like regular clothes? How difficult is it to act in a costume compared to not in a costume?
It can be very difficult. With those sort of monsters, it's probably easier because you're acting individually in a way. You haven't been told to all work in sync like with the Cybermen. But with things like the corpse, the space corpse, and the snow-suited Dalek puppet, we were just acting independently. So more like a monster would act. So I enjoyed that more. So you could throw your own interpretation into it.
Okay. How hot can it be in the costumes? Because obviously I've done cosplay and I've gone to Comic Cons and I've actually done a Cyberman suit and I found it incredibly hot. But because I've done a classic one, I was able to get some fans in the helmet. I'd imagine with some of the newer ones, there really isn't much room to put like a ventilation in.
Not at all, no. Especially the new Cyber Warrior one. I remember we were filming in a power station in South Wales. At 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, we finished. So we were all shattered, but it was so hot in that suit. When we were all getting into a lift to go down to the basement of the power station to leave, we'd finished. And we were all taking our helmets off, and there were crew and actors in the elevator with us, the lift, the big sort of industrial lift. And I remember taking my helmet off, tipping it up like that, and a river of sweat just poured out onto the floor, and all the crew were going, yeah, it was pretty hot in there.
They all flinch, but you've been sitting in that for a good couple of hours, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we've been stewing in that. All right.
Anyway, I have to ask the question: have you ever done some of the work where they've had to stick prosthetics onto your face?
Yes, several times.
What was that like?
Well, for the Space Corps, with Peter Capaldi, did I have prosthetics? Oh, yeah, a little bit of prosthetics. But on other things, I've had a lot more. For instance, well, I better not say that because it hasn't been shown yet. Got to be careful what I say. But yeah, lots of various things. Not so much in Doctor Who. That was more face masks usually, full face masks. But on other things, I've had a lot of prosthetics. Yeah, I did a zombie film. What was it called? It went through several different changes of title. Generation Z.
The girl with all the gifts.
I did that one. I didn't have prosthetics in that. I just had lots of blood on me. But it was, okay. What was it called? Generation Z was the original title. Then it became The Resort with a Z in, as a British zombie film, directed by the director of the Outpost films. And I had a lot of prosthetics in that. And I loved it. It's great. So I've never had an issue with prosthetics. Just the more the merrier.
So you don't mind having it on? It's not an uncomfortable experience.
In fact, the thing I was filming very recently, last week, in fact, I kept telling the makeup lady, put more prosthetics on, more scars, more gore, more prosthetics. And yeah, she was very happy to. So,
cool.
But I can't
tell
you
is the prosthetics easier than having something like a Cyberman helmet on?
Yes, because you're not enclosed by, a mask or a head mask or whatever. You're into the air. It's your own skin, but just with lots of prosthetics all over it. And but I don't mind having a head mask on. I've never felt claustrophobic with a Cyberman helmet on. I remember some of the others were moaning, saying, "Oh, I shouldn't have the helmet on for that long," but it didn't really bother me. You're a Cyberman. It's great. It's iconic. I'm not going to whinge about how long you have to wear the helmet for.
Yep. Obviously, you love being on Doctor Who, obviously, as being a fan as well. Have there been any other productions that you've really enjoyed working on?
Britannia is always a real blast. It's a real crazy, bonkers show. Lots of blood and gut and craziness. It's a bit like the British equivalent of Game of Thrones, I suppose, but more reality-based, although it does get very mystical and magical. So yeah, I love being on that one. Star Wars, obviously, is always a great one to be on. Batman is a good one. I can't really talk about that. Although I was papped, so people are aware that I was in it because we were all papped in Liverpool. So our faces appeared on all the newspapers and Daily Mail online and all that. So can't really deny that one. Yeah, Star Wars, as I said, did a film called Overlord Nazi Horror, which was absolutely brilliant fun. And that, I can't remember who did that original quote. Oh, are we the bad guys? I forgot what that was from, but we were asking ourselves that every day when we were Nazi soldiers. You'll probably remember what that quote's from, but I can't remember.
Cool. That's brilliant. So obviously, you've done quite a varied amount, doing from like obviously the Star Wars films to UK TV. Obviously, you've not had to, with some of those like the Star Wars, the Fantastic Beasts, although they're obviously ones are set in space and one's in America. I'm assuming you didn't have to just travel over for that filming. Was it all filmed in the UK?
All filmed in the UK, unfortunately. Yeah. I'd love to travel to LA to do them, but no, they're all filmed at Pinewood or Pinewood Star Wars. Yeah, all at Pinewood. Different backlots and sets. But the good thing about Pinewood, it's probably my favourite place to film, is you're not out in the rain or the cold, or you're in a nice set for the most part. Although on Force Awakens, we were on an outdoor huge platform, 200 feet up, I'm not sure exactly how, but very high. And it was absolutely boiling in our dark first order general suits. We were sweating. And we stood there all day in the boiling hot sun. So it was a hard day, but what a great memory for the General Hut scene.
Nice. So people find that a bit confusing, that sort of major Hollywood films like that, there's quite a few of them that are filmed in the UK, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really how Hollywood, so they flock over here. They're always filming here, which is great for us. But but it would be nice for them to say, yeah, we need you in the next scene and it's filmed in LA. That would be brilliant.
Obviously, you've played several different parts with being the monsters on Doctor Who. If they were to suddenly offer you a part where you'd have to be one of the monsters, but it would be a recurring role as the same character, like they did with Madame Vastra, they returned her. Would you be up for taking a role like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be brilliant. Dream come true. Yeah. That would be fantastic. But you never know. You never know what's around the corner. That would be very lucky indeed if that happened. I've played lots of different monsters in Doctor Who, and I've loved all of them. They've all been very different. There was a Beast Man in the Rings of Akatan. That was a unique monster in that one. There wasn't another Beast Man. So we were all very different designs and costumes, but that was great, and that was quite featured. I was one of the aliens in the space bar in Which is Familiar, when I'm sitting at a table playing cards, gambling, and a space bar, and then I think it's the Davros alien. No, it's not Davros. It's some alien with snakes around his feet. I've forgotten now. But he comes in and I'm turning my blaster on him. And that was great. But that's a big green-headed alien. Lots of different. And then the Space Corps with Peter Capaldi, which was absolutely brilliant. Loved that design. Various other ones over the years. Unit soldiers and unit chauffeurs and all sorts. And the third Doctor, of course, I was his double. John Pertwee was my favourite Doctor, so that was a dream come true.
Nice. So you obviously quite enjoy it. I feel that you can get more sort of varied responses from playing those kind of monster characters rather than playing like a human character.
Definitely, yeah. Very attention grabbing. Being a monster, it's very attention grabbing. It's such a special, exciting vibe doing Doctor Who. I can't explain it, but it's probably the most exciting thing to do. I know the ratings aren't as great as they used to be, but doesn't matter. When you're on set and you're a monster, it's the best thing. It really is.
Cool. So do you, if you were given the choice...
rival it is the only thing that could rival it is probably the costume on Rogue One, the Fleet Trooper costume, which I absolutely loved. That's probably my all-time favourite costume, with the big black helmet. Yeah, that was great. And the big gauntlets.
Cool. So if somebody turned around to you and said you can only ever play the monster characters, or you're going to play just characters, human characters in just like dress, which one would you pick?
That's difficult to answer because I love doing them both. I mean, on Revolution of the Daleks, I was one of the protesters in the mock riot. I was right at the front doing lots of stunt actions as well. But that was proper acting, and that was great because you're being, not being you, but you're seen. People can see who you are, can see that you're acting, doing this, delivering a performance. Whereas in a monster, no one knows who you are, or they can't see you. But it's a different kind. I love them both. I love both levels of it. I love being the monster, anonymous monster, and all the kudos that goes with that, because it's such a thrill. And I also love playing a character, a proper acting character in Doctor Who as well. So I couldn't choose between them. I like to do them both, which is what I'm doing at the moment. So that's great. Happy with that. But as you suggested, a recurring monster would be fantastic. And Madame Vashta, I was in a little mini episode with her and Strax, and that was great. The Snowmen pre-episode, little mini episode. So yeah, that was great meeting them. To be one of those would be fantastic.
So do you ever get like an input with the costumes, or is it literally you're just given a costume and told you need to wear this?
They ask you if it's comfortable, and is there anything they can do to help it make it more comfortable. But design-wise, no, that's either Millennium Effects or Ray Holman, who in charge of that, and they're not going to change that for us. But when I first saw the redesign of the Cyber Warrior, I was absolutely over the moon, because to me that was very retrograde, back to the 70s, which is when I loved Doctor Who, and the Cybermen in particular. I loved that look, and the face certainly went back to the Revenge of the Cybermen and the Invasion type helmet. So yeah, I love that. I wouldn't want to tamper with that. The only thing I did joke about with one of the costume men was the Cyber Lord helmet. I did laugh at him a little bit about that, and they said, "Right, you're not wearing it now." So I didn't get to be a Cyber Lord, which is a shame. I wasn't being horrible. I was just saying, "Oh yeah, okay, that's a bit weird."
I have to admit, I found that a bit weird, but I've seen like some proper close-up pictures of it, and from a prop perspective, it was very beautifully put together, and the detail in it is wonderful. Yeah. But yeah, it just didn't make sense to me, part of the story, that there was a Cyberman Time Lord crossover, which didn't make sense in my head.
Well, there were two of us, and we were looking at them, and the costume, it wasn't the designer, it was one of the head of costume, and he could see we were both sort of grinning at it, and he said, "Right, well, neither of you are wearing it." But in retrospect, I would have liked to have been the Cyber Lord, but I blew my chance there.
Oh, no. Obviously, with things that are at the moment, we're in a lockdown again, and obviously we had one previously. How has that affected your work and kind of the film industry?
Funnily enough, well, obviously through the first lockdown, nothing happened, but through the second lockdown onwards, filming's just picked up and gone mad. It hasn't seemed to affect it at all. Obviously, the regulations are different, and you all have to wear a face mask and socially distance and all of that. But no, it's been thick and fast, really. Yeah, a bit slower than last year, I would say, but it's really picking up. So it hasn't affected us too badly at all. I was going to say, was filming Batman, but this is all public knowledge anyway, that it was halted because Robert Pattinson caught COVID. So, you know, that's everything halted for 2 weeks. And I was going, oh no, never going to get on it. But it, you know, it picked up again. So yeah, to answer your question, really, it hasn't been too much of a problem.
But obviously the first lockdown did create some problems with filming not taking place.
Yeah, everything stopped. Yeah.
Was you
Absolutely.
In the middle of something and it stopped, or did you just finish something?
I was in the middle of several things. I don't know how much I can talk about these things. I don't know what's out there on IMDb or whatever, but yeah, there was a film, a Disney film, that had to stop. I had 3 more weeks on it, and that stopped. And it did resume, but I'd moved after the lockdown, but I'd moved on to something else. So there was that. There were a couple of TV things I was in the middle of doing, and so I didn't finish those, like Pennyworth. So I did. They wanted me back, but I couldn't. I'd already moved on to something else by the time they resumed, which is a shame because Pennyworth was good. Yeah, just bits and pieces like that. But yeah, this film, that was the major interruption. But I wasn't too upset because I've moved on to something better, Batman. Better, well, more interesting for me, shall we say?
Yeah, so I'm assuming that when things stopped and you had no work, as soon as you was offered something, you had to grab hold of it.
Absolutely, yeah, because it had been a big shock to the system having no work for 3 months or whatever, however long it was, 2 or 3 months. So yeah, and then to be offered something like Batman was amazing, almost straight away after the lockdown. So yeah.
But then obviously it was kind of, when the other work was being offered again, is it kind of upsetting when you have to refuse work because you're already on something else?
It can be. Yeah, it didn't happen too much, thankfully. There weren't too many clashes. And as I say, normally the thing you were moving on to was just as exciting. So, you know, I was lucky in that respect. I didn't miss out on anything, I don't think.
You just have to keep moving, keep going forward to the next job, and hopefully
Absolutely.
keep in work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. So it sounds as if everything's going quite well at the moment, and you're keeping busy with work.
Well, there's lots of offers coming in. Whether you get them or not, that's another question. You hope that you do, and there's some very exciting offers coming in at the moment, which I obviously can't talk about. So you just really hope that one of those will come through. Some very exciting ones. I really wish I could talk about them, but obviously I can't.
Obviously, no, I understand you can't talk about those at the moment. Okay, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, and obviously look for that when it comes up. I'd like to thank you for your time and speaking to me today. For this video, it's been a real pleasure to get an insight.
You're very welcome. Thanks for talking to me.
No worries. Thank you very much. Well, there we go, guys. That's our video for today. Please like, please subscribe, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video very soon.